everyone. I hope that you're all doing very well. It's been about 2 to 4 months since I have uploaded a book review. The reason I haven't uploaded any book reviews is because I have been both very busy and very lethargic, also unable to finish reading. My attention span has been all over the place, so that's another reason why it's taken so long. But I'm happy to say that this video right here is a book review about a book that I borrowed from the library. It was pretty short and I was able to read it within a day or two. And the title of this book is The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning: How to Free Yourself and Your Family from a Lifetime of Clutter. And it was written by Margareta Magnusson. Hopefully I'm pronouncing her name correctly, and if I'm not, I sincerely apologize. Now, even though I borrowed this book recently, this book has been on my mental to-read list for a couple of years. It was published in 2018, so it is about 6 years old. I have come across it when I was browsing through bookstores. I've also seen it maybe once or twice at the library, but mostly I've seen this title on recommended reading lists and also YouTube videos about decluttering. Right now, I have been on my decluttering journey for, I don't even know. I want to say 2 years, but if you have to calculate, it's probably been since 2015. I have been decluttering on and off since 2015. And I decided that now was the right time to pick up this book because I am getting near the tail end of my decluttering journey, or my clean sweep of everything before I get into the really big overhaul of all of my everything. But if I had to describe how this book made me feel, I feel that the word gentle was a very good description. Even though this was a book about decluttering and our attachment to things, it really felt like a conversation. It felt like I was in a room, a warm, gentle room, drinking some hot tea with the author, and that she was telling me a story in a gentle voice. I didn't feel overwhelmed while I was reading this. It was actually very comforting. I don't know how else to describe it. Other people have had different experiences with the book. One person I recommended it to didn't really like it. She thought it was kind of boring, but I liked it. It was more of a slow pace. So before we get into the details of the book, I wanted to share with you a little bit about the author, Margareta Magnusson. And it says, Margareta Magnusson is, in her own words, aged between 80 and 100. So she is actually, according to Google, 90 years old. Born in Sweden, she has lived all over the world. Margareta graduated from Beckman's College of Design, and her art has been exhibited in galleries from Hong Kong to Singapore. She has 5 children and lives in Stockholm, surrounded only by possessions she loves. That's one thing that I felt a connection with the author, was she's also an artist. I believe this is one of her art pieces. It's pretty cute. As I was reading this book, I was reflecting on my relationship with cleaning and the items that I have, as well as any time that I have death clean. So I ended up just taking some notes. This book is dedicated to her 5 children. And in the foreword, this is what she has to say. The only thing we know for sure is that we will die one day. But before that, we can try to do almost anything. You have probably been given this little book by one of your children, or as a gift from someone in the same situation as you and me. Or perhaps you picked up a copy for yourself because it struck a chord. There is a reason for this. You have collected so much wonderful stuff in your life, stuff that your family and friends can't evaluate or take care of. Let me help make your loved ones' memories of you nice instead of awful. So obviously I got this for myself, or I borrowed it for myself to give me some type of motivation for my decluttering. Everybody has a decluttering story or a death cleaning story. I have a few, but as far as how I've gained so much clutter and how I'm working through that is, number one, I don't have the physical energy or the means to declutter as fast and as much as I want to because I work full time. I'm low energy, so I can only do a bit at a time. I also don't drive. I don't have a car, so I have to take a lot of things on foot or by bus, and that takes a lot of time. I have to schedule different trips. Secondly, I have someone in my life who is a hoarder, so they're always piling stuff on me. Like half of the stuff in my apartment is just them they're hoarding things on me. So it is very challenging to be cleaning and then you feel like your work has been undone. I have not been able to get them to stop, even though I've said and begged stop a billion times. They just won't stop. So the only thing I can do is give it away with the energy that I have left. Third, I feel like I have not found home yet. I have moved a couple of times. This is my fourth apartment, so throughout the years I've had to give away stuff and bring things with me. But I still haven't found my home yet. I feel that when I have a home, my true home, that my decluttering journey will finally come to an end because then I will feel some type of sense of permanence and I can decorate how I want and all of these different things. I won't feel like I have to just move. Another thing is I am a visual artist, just like the author. So I have a lot of art supplies, and that's one of the harder things to get rid of because I know I can make things with it, but it's just hard. It's just hard. Like you see all different art pieces on the wall. I have more art pieces, but that's one of the things I'm doing is I'm either trying to create to reduce my art supplies or just getting rid of them altogether. So that is my decluttering story for myself. The first chapter is called Death Cleaning is Not Sad. And the author begins, I am death cleaning, or as we call it in Swedish, dostagning. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. It's spelled Dostadning. It looks like dostagning. I tried to look up a pronunciation. It sounded like dostagnid or something like that. But that's what it looks like. Do is death and stagning is cleaning. In Swedish, it is a term that means that you remove unnecessary things and make your home nice and orderly when you think the time is coming closer for you to leave the planet. It is so important that I have to tell you about it. Maybe I can also give you a few tips since this is something that we all have to face sooner or later. We really must if we want to save precious time for our loved ones after we are gone. So what is death cleaning? For me, it means going through all my belongings and deciding how to get rid of the things I do not want anymore. Just look around you. Several of your things have probably been there for so long that you do not even see value in them anymore. I feel that about some of my art pieces, honestly. I'd be like, you know what? I don't know. Like half of me wants to just throw them away and the other half wants to destroy them. But in my mind, I'm like, maybe somebody will buy it. Maybe somebody will want it. And that's why I haven't destroyed it yet, even though I've destroyed some pieces. I have been thinking about what I would give to people if I passed away. I know I would have my artwork be divided between my family members and they can do with it what they want. My clothes, I don't care. My books, I would rather them go to the library. Like, my friends can pick out through them first, but I would rather all my books go to the library. That way I know they'll be being read by somebody. Or to a independent bookstore or something of that nature. But I haven't written out a list of what I want my things to be. I have gotten to a point now where I am giving things away, and that is a good first step for me. I think women have always death cleaned, but women's work is not often in the spotlight and should be appreciated more. When it comes to death cleaning in my generation and those older than me, women tend to clean up after their husbands first, and then they clean up before they themselves are no more. While one would usually say clean up after yourself, here we are dealing with the odd situation of cleaning up before we die. Some people can't wrap their heads around death, and these people leave a mess after them. Did they think they were immortal? The only time I've actually death cleaned in my life with a relative was when my father died, and this was 5 years ago. So my aunts, me, my two aunts, which are his sisters, we went to his room as he was staying in a boarding house near my old job. And it was funny because I didn't know he lived so close to my job. I would see him at the library all the time. And I didn't know where he lived. I had never been there. But he was in this boarding house. And when we went inside, it was amazing how very little light was in the room. Like, he had more light in his bedroom than in the living room. He had knives in every corner, which I thought was very interesting because I do the same thing and I didn't know he did the same thing. I didn't know that. But that's because he had a neighbor who had a lot of mental issues, and he was also suffering from schizophrenia, so he would become very violent. So my father had knives just in case he needed to defend himself. But as I was going through his things, it was amazing how we had the same organizational style. He would color coordinate things. He would have like things in drawers. He would have notes and all of these things. It was interesting. Now, the only thing that stood out to me in his room that made no sense was there was this little Lion King toy. And I believe it was supposed to be Simba's daughter, who was named Kiara, like me. And that is the only thing of his, I guess, was related to me. So I ended up taking that. We took his microwave. We took his, I took some of his books, which I still have. They gave me his television. But I ended up giving all of his tools away, all of his TV away because I don't watch TV. I'll watch YouTube, but I won't even pay full attention to those videos. And I gave away his microwave too. So cleaning his room was pretty easy because everything was organized. He didn't know he was going to die. It was a sudden heart attack. But everything was organized. Everything had its special place. It wasn't hard to clean his room. My grandmother's house, I don't know. Because I did not clean that. One of my uncles did. There's still stuff at my grandmother's house, but I haven't been there in a long while. I don't think I have the key there anymore. But anyway, the other day many adult children do not want to talk about death with their parents. They should not be afraid. We must all talk about death. If it's hard to address, then death cleaning can be a way to start the conversation. The other day I told one of my sons that I was death cleaning and writing a book about it. He wondered if it was going to be a sad book and whether it made me sad to write it. No, I said. It is not sad at all, neither the cleaning nor writing of the book. Sometimes I feel a little uncomfortable with how unappreciative I am being about some of the things I want to rid myself of. Some of these things have brought benefits to us. But I've discovered that it is rewarding to spend time with these objects one last time and then dispose of them. I have that same feeling about some of the things I own. I think some of the things I own that I didn't buy for myself, I feel guilty for giving them away. I feel like I'm insulting people even though it is mine. The same with clothes. It's hard to give away a lot of my clothes because they were dumped on me. I did not buy them. I did not buy half of my clothes. I might have bought like 10% of my clothes. The rest were just thrown onto me. But they're very nice clothes, and half of me wants to sell them and the other half is just like, give it away. So that's another issue some people may have. Like the things that you want to get rid of are very nice. So half of you wants to get rid of them and half of you wants to sell them because you know someone will buy them. But when you're decluttering and cleaning, it feels so relieving. Ever since I've read this book, it's helped me to detach more from certain items. I'm like, yeah, I don't really care about that. Yeah, I don't care about that either. It's easy to give away. It's easy to organize and then declutter. To do your own death cleaning can be really hard. Maybe you have to downsize your home for some reason. Maybe you have become single, or perhaps you need to move to a nursing home. These situations tend to affect most of us. Going through all your old belongings, remembering when you used them last, and hopefully saying goodbye to several of them is very difficult for many of us. People tend to hoard rather than to throw away. Okay, if there's one thing I do willingly hoard, it's books, and that's about it. Books. Not all those dolls up there. Actually, I only bought maybe half of those dolls. The rest were just, tossed onto me. But books is something I have a hard time getting rid of because I see them as valuable. But one issue I think a lot of people have with cluttering is what they see as value. They'll have their own little collections, and to them it's the world, and to us it's just junk. Once someone is gone, there can be chaos enough anyway, I tell you. There are many sad stories about siblings who start to quarrel because they want the same item. This type of situation does not need to happen. We can plan in advance to lessen the chances of these unhappy moments. I see that with some items. That happened with my grandma's house. I wish I had gotten it. I mean, I grew up there, but okay. That's another story. Don't get me ranting. Why I am writing this book. I am now somewhere between 80 and 100 years old. I take it as a responsibility of my old age to tell you about my experiences because I believe this philosophy of death cleaning is important for all of us to know. It doesn't matter if it is your parents, friends, or family who are getting older, or if it is about time for you to begin death cleaning for yourself. I have moved 17 times within my own country and abroad, so I should know what I am talking about when it comes to deciding what to keep and what to throw away, whether you are moving house, moving country, or moving to the great beyond. I have moved maybe 3 or 4 times. So this apartment that I'm in now is my fourth apartment. Does it feel like home? No. Am I going to be moving again? Definitely. I don't believe I'm going to be living in the state of Missouri anymore. Or if I am, it better be a house. I firmly believe in my soul that this is my very last apartment. I'm going to be getting a house, and I don't know how I will, but that will be my permanent forever home, or at least one of my properties. So right now, as I go through the items I'm going through, I'm thinking of them in terms of, am I bringing this to my new house? Am I bringing this to the room that I'll have as a studio in my new house? That's how I'm looking at things. And also, what can I sell to make extra money to save for this house? Do I really need these things? Can I give them to somebody? Can I give them to an artist? Stuff like that. So the next chapter is how to begin. And she states that the first place you want to start are storage areas. So storage areas would be your attic and your basement. Now, a lot of people put stuff in the basement and forget that it's there. That's what it was like at my grandmother's house. There was a lot of stuff in the basement, and one of my uncles that tried to take over the house got rid of a lot of stuff in the basement, but he also got rid of a lot of family photos that were old, black and white family photos. Just got rid of them. Didn't even care. Timeless, irreplaceable photos. That's why if you're going to go to these storage areas, don't just do a complete overhaul, because there might be something valuable in there. Actually go through the stuff just like you were going through your things in your active living space. There might be something useful down there. I'm not saying everything down there is useful, but there might be at least one thing that you forgot about. Some people have Christmas decorations down there that they really don't need, or just holiday decorations, or things that are broken, or things that are obsolete and you don't need them anymore. So getting rid of those first is a good start. It says sometimes your attic has become so full that you are forced to put things in someone else's attic. Terrible. Who do you think will take care of that later when you are no longer here? Tell your loved ones and friends what you are up to. They might want to help you and even take things you don't need, and also help you to move things that you cannot move alone. You will see that a steady stream of people you like or even dislike will come to take things such as books, clothes, and utensils. That is very true. Like sometimes I'll be walking down the street or in the back alleys, and there'll be little things and it'll say take. Or even in the neighborhood social media group, people will be like, hey, I'm giving this away. Does anybody want it? I really don't want it anymore. Can you pick it up, please? Could you just get to that point? A small piece of advice. Don't start with photographs or letters and personal papers for that matter. It can be both a lot of fun and sad to go through photographs and letters, but one thing is certain. If you start with them, you will definitely get stuck down memory lane and may never get around to cleaning anything else. I think that is a good piece of advice, because there are some photos that I just don't want to look at. But I also don't want to throw them away, because I know eventually I'll probably get over it. But sometimes photos will trigger a memory that'll send you in this spiraling path. It might be a good memory that make you miss somebody, or it might be someone you don't spend time with anymore. I have photos of old friends and romantic partners that I've either blocked or I just don't talk to them anymore. I'm like, yeah, I'm not talking to you. I have a bin that has obituaries going all the way back to my great-grandmother's obituary from 1984. They're all in a box. I have photos from the 1950s in my special photo box. So I can see what she means. Especially if your attention span is all over the place, the photo can put you in a certain mood where you become mentally incapacitated and can't finish your decluttering. Pictures and letters that you have saved for some reason must wait until you have arranged the destinies for your furniture and other belongings. In general, when death cleaning, size really matters. Start with large items in your home and finish with the small. Photos carry such a weight of emotion that they will hinder your work, but are also so important that they have their own chapter later in this book. Sort and sort out. When you look at your home, you probably see a bunch of objects that only have one thing in common. They belong to you. But in fact, most things you own have many things in common. Almost everything in our homes belongs in different categories. That's why, like, my books, so far they are categorized. My art supplies, they are categorized. There's just a lot of them and they're piled on top of each other. I have categorized beads. I have numbers on different drawers. I've already organized my little technology stuff. My goal for 2025 is to completely declutter this apartment and get rid of everything that I'm not taking to the house that I plan on manifesting, honestly. The more I clean and the more I sort, the more I can think clearly. It's hard to think when there's so much clutter. It's hard to think when you're tripping over things or you have all these papers that you got to sort through. One thing that's really helped me, especially with papers, is using my paper shredder. I shred papers when I get mail. I look through it and then I shred it. I look through it and then I shred it. I also put things in binders, like I'll have all of my writings in binders. If I have too many notebooks, I'll use those for notes and then I might copy them, type them, and then shred those too. So my system I've had, I try to make a system, a circular system. I'm like, you're going somewhere or you're getting out. You're going somewhere or you're getting out. That way things won't pile up on each other. I have a better time doing this at work than I do here, but that's because I live here. So. And I'm not attached to some of the items at work. You can also have friends help you too. Let's see. Happy people. I know many people who can sit in a messy home and look as if they are happy and in harmony. To me, they seem almost comical. I don't understand them. I sometimes feel envious as I myself cannot feel happy at all in a home that looks as if it has been tumble dried. Literally, lady, I so agree with you. And this is coming from a person whose home feels tumble dried. And the reason it feels like that is because my decluttering is never ending. As soon as I start decluttering, here comes this hoarder person dumping more things to declutter on me. So it's this constant battle of never feeling as if I have a home to my own. There's no basement. There's no attic. It is just a one-bedroom apartment with a closet. And it's not even like a superb apartment because it's such an old building. There's so many holes. There's just so much going on that I actually feel like I'm living in a box. So I also do not understand how people can live like that and still be happy unless they are in some type of state of depression where all they can do is deal with the circumstances that they're in, or they have some type of mental illness. I don't know. Then she talks about somewhere in her book about her husband when he passed away and how she had to clean all of his tools not clean, like declutter his tools, because he had this tool set, or this tool board wall, and he would organize his tools in a certain way. That was his thing. And at first it was hard for her to let go of these things, but she went through the board and was able to give it away to people who appreciated what he had. Hold on. Many adult children worry about the amount of possessions their parents have amassed through the years. They know that if their parents don't take care of their own stuff, the children will have to do it for them. If your parents are getting old and you don't know how to bring up the topic to do with all this stuff, I would suggest you pay them a visit, sit down, and ask some of the following questions in a gentle way. So here's the question if you have an older parent. You have many nice things. Have you thought about what you want to do with it all later on? Do you enjoy having all this stuff? Could life be easier and less tiring if we got rid of some of the stuff that you have collected over the years? Is there anything we can do together in a slow way so that there won't be many things to handle later? Now, I know eventually in the future I'll probably have to death clean for my mother because I'm the only child. So I don't have any brothers or sisters. I'm not saying she's going to die before me because we never know when we're going to die. But if she lives long enough and eventually becomes elderly, I would be the one going through the things. I don't have a sibling to call. Might be able to call my cousins, but they might be busy. So like getting things in order now while your parents or whoever you're taking care of is in their right mind, where it won't be so hard, is good. There's this lady in St. Louis that had a book called, oh my goodness, I think it was either called Grieving God's Way, or it was called Taking Care of Business by Lydia Douglas. And she had organized all of her things, her and her husband's things. So if something happened to any one of them, the process would be easier. Things would be paid for, all of that. And he suddenly died of a heart attack. I think it was a heart attack. And everything was in order. She had already put everything in order. The same with my aunt Leveda. My Aunt Leveda was in her 80s. And Aunt Leveda took care of everything. She had bought her own little burial plot. She had chosen the outfit. I think she chose the outfit she wanted for her funeral. She had paid for her casket. Everything was paid for her. They basically just had to show up. She had everything in order. My aunt. She was an educator for many years. So, yeah, don't be afraid to talk to your relatives who you are taking care of about these things. I know it's an uncomfortable topic, but it has to be said, because if you don't talk about it now, God forbid when the time comes, you don't want to be in confusion trying to piece stuff together, you know? Let's see. A woman's job. I sometimes wonder how men cope when they become widowed. Men of my generation often manage poorly, especially if they had wives who spoiled them. They can barely boil an egg, let alone sew on a button. My husband could cope with the most small daily things like simple cooking and mending. My father, who was a doctor, could clean the fish he caught very nicely. It almost looked like he had operated on them. The fillets were guaranteed to be boneless, but could he cook them? Nope. For a long time, the best solution for widowers has been to get a new wife quickly as possible, someone to do the laundry and ironing and to save them from starvation. I think that the next generation of men will be better able to cope if they are widowed. In Sweden, many young men enjoy both sewing and knitting. Others are fantastic cooks and can combine flavors that make the mouth sing. And they are not so stupid as to waste time ironing the entire shirt when they intend to wear a sweater on top. They only know that only the collar and cuffs matter. When these younger generations get old, their skills will be of great benefit to them. I hate to say that I have actually seen this happen before. I have. Just from working in customer service and stuff over the years and seeing couples, it could be married couples, engaged couples, just couples, like heterosexual couples in general. And if the guy had a health problem, the main one that was concerned about his health was his wife or his girlfriend. Like it would be the girlfriend or the wife trying to research about their medications or trying to get them the supplements and vitamins that they need, or just trying to gather information in general about anything, or handling the family finances. Like I'm just like, if you didn't have this person here, would you even be alive? Literally, a bulk of these guys, if they didn't have their wife or their girlfriend or whoever was there, they would have either been homeless, they would have been in a hospital. It's just very, very scary. But thankfully, there are more young men taking care of themselves, learning about their finances, learning skill sets, how to survive on their own, and just doing things on their own. That way, if something, God forbid, happened to their spouse or their girlfriend, they won't be, like, what do I do? Where do I go? Oh my gosh, what help? I don't know what to do. I'm panicked. I know one couple right now where I'm not saying if the girl left right now, this man would not know what to do. He wouldn't know how to cook anything. He wouldn't know how to clean anything. He wouldn't even know how to manage his money. He wouldn't know how to educate his children. He wouldn't know what sizes his children wear. It's just very scary. So if you are a guy who doesn't have these skills, I would say get those skills. Get those skills. You'll be very proud of yourself. If you don't know how to handle your food or your money, learn that now. And that will help you have very healthy relationships. But I don't know. If she's 90, I could see how that would happen more on a societal level, but I still think it's happening. But I'm just glad that more guys are getting better at caring for themselves, stuff like that. It says, let me see, home. I moved from the west coast of Sweden to Stockholm 10 years ago. I made the right decision not to hurry when I moved out of my house. I took my time to plan my move and to really think over how I wanted my future to be. This new apartment building has a lovely inner yard with a lot of greenery, trees, and flowers. There's an outdoor seating area, a children's playground, bicycle stands, a garage for those who need one. And she basically describes. She says, I don't think I will ever move again, but since I am now between 80 and 100, I do not think it will do harm to make a new inventory of all I have. I own too many clothes and too many books that I do not need. 16 plates when there's only room for 6 around my table. She says, a few thoughts on accumulation. I have spent my entire life painting pictures. Luckily, a big part of being an artist is being able to part with the stuff you paint. I have sold or given away my life's work gradually at the same pace as I have produced it. That's really the problem I have now. I have so many paintings, and I'm like, yeah, I don't care about you anymore. I just want to get rid of you. Or paint over you. Well, I do have this one painting of Ida B. Wells Barnett right there. I think I might sell that one. That one with the little girl, my uncle painted that of me, so I'm keeping that one. But that's how we artists are. Maybe the fact that I have gotten rid of my artwork all my life makes me unsentimental about getting rid of other things too. Let us see. Let us go to the part about books. I guess this section of the book is how you can get rid of certain things. So we're going to start with books since we're doing a book review. Books are generally hard to sell. I suggest that you let family and friends browse among the books you can live without and take what they want. Sometimes books have notes in the margins written by people you know. These books can be difficult to get rid of for sentimental reasons. I suggest you give the book and notes one last read before you pass it on. If you have several books on a specific subject such as art, gardening, cooking, or science, as I had, nautical books, you might find someone who is interested in buying the lot. I only keep books that I still haven't read or books that I keep returning to. In my case, these are mostly books about art and some reference books such as a dictionary, thesaurus, and atlas. I actually have a basket of books that I'm going to get rid of, but I want to read them first. That's why they're still there. I just want to read them one last time, or one first time. Like this book, I got this for my mother when I was 8. I was like 8 or 9, and I basically got it because it was green. So I want to read through this book before I give it away, because I honestly don't keep a lot of religious books. I'm not very religious, but I like to read through them because they usually have a good message, and then I just give it away. I remember when there was a little free library box by the train station, and I left this book about depression in there, and this woman had gotten it. I didn't know. This was months later. She said that that book really helped her because either her son had died or her husband had died, and it got her through a hard time. So before you give it to the library, if you're planning on giving it away, see if you can find a little free library box and put the book in there, because it could help somebody that's going through something. When I was death cleaning my house before my move, my greatest problem with my books were the Bibles. I called the local church, but they did not want any more Bibles, not even the old ones in leather bindings. They did not have any idea for what I should do with them. I kept 2. Someone had written on the inside covers the birth and death dates of people from my husband's families who had lived long ago. The others I had to throw away. I do not know why I felt so bad about it. I guess that these Bibles had meant a lot to the people who were in some way related to me, even if I had never met them. They were cherished at a time when books really meant something to their owners, long before Harry Potter and other bestsellers were invented. I have Bibles too. I have maybe 20 Bibles. Do I read them? Not really, not really like that, but I feel like when it's a religious book, it's hard to give away just because it has a strong energy. And I mean, if I wouldn't throw a Bible away because that's a holy book to some people. So if anything, I would put it in a little free library box, or I would give it to the thrift store or leave it at a church. But some books I just can't throw away. I don't think I've ever thrown a book away unless it was damaged. Then, yeah, this book has, let's go over one last thing. Collections and collectors and hoarders, because this is what I'm dealing with now. Have we not always collected things, sticks and logs for the fire, berries and roots to eat, but collecting things just for fun is entirely different. A genuine collector enjoys collecting specific categories of things and has good systems for keeping track of the items in the collection and looks for items that are missing in the collection. The collection will make other people happy too. Think of museums. Are they not the results of industrious collectors? But people who just hoard things and papers without meaning or purpose may actually be affected by an illness. Man, why are you preaching to the choir? Because I am a collector of paper. How many notebooks do I have? Too many. I have a box of paper to shred, and I've already shred at least 3 boxes of paper. I have binders with writing in it that I still have to shred because I have not typed them yet. Sometimes people become hoarders or collect things because they may have come from poverty, or they feel that if they surround themselves with things, it will be protecting them from something or someone. It's like creating a barrier against danger and against the thought that you are poor or grew up in poverty. These people can fill rooms in their home with so many things that it's impossible to enter them. In some families and intimate relationships, hoardings can become a big problem. Yes, that's literally what I'm going through right now. Unfortunately, I do not have much helpful advice for this situation. This hoarding disease can be treated, but if a doctor cannot help, the only thing I can think to do is order a big container when the time comes. That's probably what I'm going to have to do, because I have tried so many times. Living with hoarders or dealing with hoarders, it's very painful. And then, let's say if you grew up with a hoarder, sometimes the elements of their hoarding come through your behaviors. It just might not be as bad. Like some people I know that had hoarders will hoard and then they'll give away and then they'll hoard some more. And it's just this constant cycle of feeling guilty for hoarding, getting rid of stuff, and then somehow getting more things to hoard that they didn't even realize were hoarding. Or the nature of what they're hoarding is something that's important to them that might be useful. I don't know. But yeah, this lady that wrote this book, I really liked that she covered all sorts of topics in this book, and I did not go through the entire book because it is also filled with her personal life stories, which are very beautiful. She talks about experiences with her children, her husband, her travels, the people that she knew within her life that have since gone away. And it was like, as I stated earlier, sitting in a room, listening to her talk over a cup of hot tea and reflecting on her life. After I finished reading this book, I felt very, very peaceful, and it was easier for me to get rid of things. I still haven't come off of the high of reading the book because every day I'm decluttering more and more and more and more. Today I made a lot of progress when I was decluttering because I had some bags over by the door of things I was giving away. But today it was raining. It was raining so hard that my umbrella ripped. It completely unraveled itself. So I was caught in the rain. I was trying to put some dolls in the little free church box, but they couldn't fit and I was soaked with rain. So I became extremely frustrated and I literally threw the dolls in a trash can. And I find that to be progress. They couldn't fit and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to throw these things away. And I did. And it felt great. I was like, wow, I didn't know I could do that. Because I felt guilty for throwing the dolls away. Because I'm like, oh, a child could play with this. But the dolls, they didn't have any doll clothes. Their hair was jacked up. I didn't get these dolls. They were dumped on me by somebody else. So I felt happy that they were in the trash can. So start with something that's hard to let go of, and then you'll see it's going to become easier and easier and easier. It doesn't have to be a complete eureka moment, but it can be a gradual process. Some people think that your decluttering journey will take, like, oh, everything's got to be done in a month. I have literally been decluttering on and off since 2015 because I've had to move, I've had blah, 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 blah. But here I have been decluttering basically almost 2 years now, actively decluttering. And I think I've gotten better. I have way less stuff than I did before. I can find things. I've gotten rid of a lot of papers that I've collected over the years. It's just a process. It's a journey. It's a very healing journey. And you will see as you go through your death cleaning, you just start losing attachment to things. It just gets easier as it goes along. Some of the things I was attached to, I'm like, yeah, I don't care anymore. I don't really even want that anymore. And I've thrown it away or given it away. And it's great. So I would give this book 5 fudge buckets. And I recommend it if you want a short read, a nice little cup of hot tea, read about decluttering. So have a wonderful evening, everyone, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.